Welcome to Behind the Crown Podcast with your hosts, Bryan Hutson and Josh Griffin. Sit back and enjoy these great stories and memories of the Kingsmen Quartet.
Welcome to this episode of Behind the Crown Podcast with your hosts, Bryan Hutson and Josh Griffin. Bryan, good evening, sir. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing great, Josh. How are you doing? You looking good?
Thank you, sir. You as well, sir.
I noticed you got a haircut today.
Yes, I had to.
Well, you may not have got one today, but you look a little cleaner cut today.
Yes, it was very needed.
Now, did your sister cut your hair, Jess?
Yes,
she does. Okay.
She does.
Well, it's
Josh, just a simple haircut, nothing crazy.
Well, hey, you got to have a simple haircut on occasion. But this podcast is dedicated to the men, the message, and the music of the Kingsmen Quartet. But I was thinking the other day while I was driving down the road, listening to one of the earlier episodes. I was thinking, we talk to Kingsmen alumni. We talk to guys that are in the, currently with the group now, but we don't really know a whole lot about you. I mean, I know a whole lot about you. You cruised with us before. You cruised with the Kingsmen on the Singing at Sea cruise, and you've been to hundreds of gospel concerts, especially with the Kingsmen are there. You're probably, I would say, number one Kingsmen fan, I would say, or close to it. But
close.
A lot of people don't. We don't. The masses don't know a whole lot about you. So, Josh, give us a quick rundown of who you are and what you're all about.
Yeah, 36 years old, live in Fitzgerald, Georgia. Just a big Kingsman fan. Born and raised in church, grew up around going to gospel music concerts. Probably the first one I really remember back in 2000 in Waycross, Georgia, the all-night sing at Memorial Stadium. Bryan Hutson, you was with the Kingsmen at the time. Okay. It was like in July of that year. And I was really going, hopefully, to see Rex Nealon and meet him because the Nealons were on the program that night. Well, Nealons were there, but Rex was not. So, anyways, I said, well, we'll just, see who comes on next. Well, the Kingsmen come on, and the lineup was Jerry Martin, Bryan Hutson, Parker Jonathan, Ray Reese, Andrew Reese, Jason Self, and Greg Fox. And that right then started my love for the Kingsmen and bought a bunch of those 3 for $10 little cassette specials.
Oh, yeah.
It just, from there, just went on and got to meet a bunch of the guys over the years and went to a bunch of concerts. And I'll throw this in there. You come to sing at my mom's funeral back in April 2021.
Right.
You and your daughter Bailey come down from Ohio and visited with us, was there at the viewing that night and then the viewing the next day. And our guest tonight, before you introduce him, he made a special trip. He was going to Florida, I think, and made a special trip from where he's located to meet us over at a town nearby. We met him that night and just fellowship for a little bit, but just thankful that, been honored to know a lot of the guys and just big fan of the Kingsmen. That's who we are.
And you also play bass guitar, right?
Yeah. Play with a local group down here in South Georgia. Myself, got a drummer, steel guitar player, a harmonica player, and a rhythm player, and he sings and writes a lot of his songs. So we do a lot of Henson songs and Goodman songs, and no Kingsman song yet. I'm trying to get them into it, Okay. So hopefully one day we'll get it and learn a Kingsman song. But enjoy doing that.
And you also have a Behind the Music podcast, right?
Yes. Interview a lot of the musicians, current and former musicians in Southern gospel music, whether they play in studio or if they've toured with different ones. Interviewed likes of Tim Shirt, Richie Works with Poet Voices, Greg Fox, Scoot Shellnut, Dixie Echoes, a bunch of different guys, and got some other guys lined up very near future as well for that. But yes, sir.
Well, that's awesome, Josh. That's why, I've always loved the Kingsmen, but that's really what got me wanting to do it because I was a drummer.
Yeah.
And I looked up and I saw it back in the day. I saw these gospel groups had bands.
Yes.
And that enticed me because I thought, man, they get to use their gift and their talent. They love the Lord. They get to travel. And that's really before the singing bug bit me, it was music. It was music. So, before we introduce our special guest tonight, Josh, do we have a piece of useless information? This is the segment. We have a special segment every week on the Behind the Crown podcast of useless information that we need to share. We feel we have a need to share with the world. So, Josh, what is our piece of useless information for tonight?
Yes, in a town in Norway, it's illegal to die due to frozen ground preventing burial of the dead.
So Now, is that during a certain season?
It did not
It
specify
didn't
that.
specify. Well, I would
think so. So
I would
yeah,
think in the wintertime, you're not allowed
yeah.
to die in the wintertime because they got to break ground, and that's pretty.
So if you bat off, in the wintertime, you better go a city over, or you better move out the country or something,
But I wonder if
Oh.
they going around, say a relative passes,
Yeah,
that they go and give a citation to the family. Well,
right.
your great Uncle Bill here, he died, and he wasn't supposed to die till next month or something.
Yeah, or something like that. Do a
Well,
wellness check on people. Yeah, who knows?
that's a piece of useless information right there, Josh. I mean, that
How about now?
is probably one of the most unique pieces we've received so far on the
So
Behind the
far.
Crown podcast. Let me just tell
Yes.
you. All right. Well,
Right.
Josh, do you want to introduce our guest tonight? What you want me to do?
Yeah. All the way from Gordo, Alabama, Mr. Bob Sellers, the legendary Bob Sellers. I'll throw it in there. Great lead singer. Howdy, Bob. How you doing?
Legendary, yeah.
Bob, how you doing, man?
Man,
to
I'm
see you.
good. How you fellas doing?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good. We attempted this a couple nights ago, and we had some technical problems, and I thought, you know what, we got to give it a shot. You were at the
Yeah.
Kingsmen.
Yeah.
Was it 7 years, 8 years?
Right at 7.
Right
Yeah.
at 7 years. And so we thought, you know what, we got to get you on here, and we've been counting down the days. And so we're honored you joined us tonight. We want to honor you. We're going to take this whole episode. We might do 2 episodes out of this. Okay. We might do 2 episodes if we get telling some stories and stuff, but we want to honor you as during your tenure with the Kingsmen, and talk about some road stories, and talk, get to know you a little bit more. Most people saw you as the lead singer for the Kingsmen for many years, and probably didn't do a whole lot of talking on the stage, especially when you got Crawford involved. There's not a whole lot of space to talk anywhere else with Crawford involved. But most people know you from your years with the Kingsmen, and now you have a very successful solo ministry. But so our first question is, where did you get your love for music or gospel music? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Well, fellas, before I get started, it's an honor to be here. It's
Thank
an
you.
honor to have been a Kingsman. It's for this hillbilly from Gordo, Alabama. It's still a pinch me moment that I got to climb aboard the bus and go and fulfill a dream of singing with what was always my favorite quartet in all the world, and still is, by the way. And honored to be on here with you guys. Appreciate you inviting me. I got started singing when I was too young to remember, like most of us. I had a little mama, or I have a little mama, thank the Lord, still have her, who played piano by ear. She plays by ear, came from a family that just kind of played whatever they picked up by ear. My sister's classically trained in piano.
Okay.
Here I am out here trying to make a living at music, and I can't play a radio hardly, but I digress. But Mom played piano by ear and sang in church all the time. And our local country station on Sunday mornings played the top 40 gospel countdown.
Okay.
And my mom would hear a song that she liked, and she'd go, and after it had played 2 or 3 times, she'd have the lyrics written out.
Wow.
I can still see it, a yellow legal size pad, steno or whatever they call it. And she'd go to that little upright Kimball piano and sit down and play and sing what I just heard on the radio.
Wow.
And it blew my mind as a kid. That kind of talent still blows my mind, by the way. But she would get, my sister was 2.5 years older than I was, and Mom needed to sing the melody, or she would throw herself off playing piano.
Okay.
So she would teach my sister a part, and then I got whatever was left over.
Whatever's left over. Yeah.
Didn't have any idea what it was.
Right.
What it was called. But just knew I had to do it exactly like Mom told me and taught me. And my mom is a stickler. I mean, she dots the I's and crosses the T's. And before we would go and present it in front of all 20 people at our home church, it had to be just right. And you know, I can remember at times I'd be so frustrated because I just couldn't hear a harmony part or something like
Yeah.
that. And we'd work on it over and over and over. And I'm just thinking, why? But man, I'm so grateful for that now
Yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
and I know you can appreciate this, Brian. And until I started singing with other people and in regional groups and things like that, I never realized what a gift an excellent ear for music was.
Yes. Yes.
I don't read music. I don't know one note from another. I've never had a lick of music training or anything else. So
But you can hear it. You can hear it.
everything's by ear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I credit the good Lord, of course, and my mom really for helping me at an early age get to work on that. So that's how I got started singing. And I was married. Well, I quit.
Okay.
Long story short is when I was, I guess, a tweener, I don't remember how old, 10, 11, 12, I got super shy, believe it or not, to get at least in front of strangers or other people. My friends, they would laugh at me, thought of me being shy, but in front of other people or getting up in front of people, I was shy and I quit. And
Really?
my mom, kind of much to my surprise, knowing my mom, she never pressured me. She didn't pressure me. And actually, I can credit my my late mother-in-law, Becky, for getting me really back into music because I happened to be at my my then girlfriend's house, who's now my wife. We were high school sweethearts, classmates, and we were over at her house. And one Saturday afternoon, she and Becky were cleaning out Rubbermaid boxes from under her bed, and they were full of accompaniment cassette tapes.
Okay.
And boy, I made the mistake of saying that I used to sing that one with my mom and my sister.
Oh yeah.
Becky had no idea I had ever sung or anything else. And man, we were always super close.
Yeah.
And she was like a shark in bloody water when she found that out. It was she wasn't going to rest until I sang a song at her home church, and I did. I think the first one I actually got up and sang, and I was probably 19 years old.
Yeah.
Was with Kansas, my wife actually, and now I can't get her to sing anymore, but I will one of these days.
Yeah.
And I think the first solo I ever sang after I got, back into it was the old Dallas Holmes song "Rise Again."
Rise Again. Yeah.
And went from there, and I just sang, and I really got on fire for it. I heard J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet at a little Methodist church in Gordo, Alabama. That I don't know, there might have been 100 of us squeezed in there, but it was packed wall to wall, and it was J.D. and Ed Enoch and Ed Hill and Rick Strickland. And I had never heard singing that high or singing that low.
And that hard.
JD was rattling the pews in that place. And it took me back to my childhood. My first ever recollection of a major gospel concert was the Masters 5 in Aliceville, Alabama. My mom actually played piano for a group that opened up for them that night. And it was so crazy. You'll appreciate this, Brian. I know you're a big E fan.
Oh yeah.
I grew up, in my mind, I had been to an Elvis concert.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was like 3 years old. But it was because my mom bought a book about Elvis that JD was selling or something.
Yeah.
And this was probably 78.
Okay.
So Elvis hadn't been dead long.
Yeah, he dead about a year.
And JD talked about Elvis so much that night. I kind of grew up thinking that was an Elvis concert, and it was just packed with people. But and now I know that was my first. And I had a great uncle that sang and played rhythm guitar, sang baritone, played rhythm guitar in a group out of Birmingham called the Challengers. Yeah. And I remember going to see them, and often, and they had records out and everything. Really good group. And I had an aunt, my mom's oldest sister, her name was Aunt Dolores, my Aunt Dolores, and she played and wrote and sang gospel music. And she
Wow.
was
Okay.
the person that always made me think of her more than anybody else in the world was Diane Wilkinson.
Okay. Yeah.
If you ever saw Diane play,
Yeah.
the piano
Oh, yeah.
shook, her hair shook.
Yeah.
That was my Aunt Dolores, just all up and down it and playing, and the hair. She had the gospel hair, and,
Yeah.
everything. And so it's just kind of always been in my blood. And then I wound up joining my first quartet in 2003 or 4. It was April. I remember that. And Gordo Joe Brown and the Capstone Quartet.
Okay.
And I wound up just through attrition owning that group. And I was still with them when I went to sing with the Kingsmen in 2011.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, goodness.
That's awesome.
Bob, speak about. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Got to meet a lot of great people and open up for different groups and things when we were with the Kingsmen. When I was with the Capstone. Yeah. One of them being the Kingsmen. And before I worked for the Kingsmen worked for me.
That's true. That's true.
I was so mad at you, Bryan Hutson.
Oh,
because what was that? There were 2 albums. This was this was 2001.
Okay.
My granddad passed away in 2000. He was our pastor, and our church didn't have a fellowship hall. We had dinner on the ground, literally, for years, and then we had a holdout single wide mobile home, and we thought we had really moved uptown.
Yeah.
And we outgrew that, and we were wanting to build a fellowship hall. And so I talked the church into letting me promote a gospel concert and try to raise money. Yeah. And I don't know if I've even tried that now. But I emailed every group. The Kingsmen were probably the first ones, but I emailed every group to see who I could get, the ones that I liked really. Yeah. That would, and I told them what we were trying to do. We were trying to do this as a fundraiser, right? And someone as a benefit, wanted to cover their expenses, but maybe they could come off of a normal Saturday night flat. And quite honestly, not one group did. Wow. Except the Kingsmen. Okay. Yeah. And so I booked the Kingsmen, and then their lead singer left.
Yeah. Yeah.
My guy Bryan Hutson left.
Yeah.
Y'all had that that CD with the black cover, and you were on the stairs.
I will. Yeah. I will. Yeah.
And then there was another one that same era.
Probably Proven Time and Time Again.
Yes. Man.
Time and Time Again.
I don't know what plays a CD. I guess a laser. I didn't burn a needle, but I burned a laser through both of those.
Those were good. Those were good records.
And then you up and quit. No. Yeah. I ended up being forced to meet an old scoundrel named Randy Crawford that night.
Yeah.
Caterpillar mustache.
He did have a mustache back then,
And that was Ray, Randy, Parker, and Jerry Martin.
Yeah, Jerry Martin. Yeah.
And the band had Jason Self. Would that have been Nick Succi or Andrew?
It would. Well, after September 2001, it would have been Nick Succi. If it had been before September 2001, it would have been Andrew.
It was Andrew because it was May.
Okay.
It was Andrew, and
Brandon playing drums.
And Brandon playing drums. Yeah. Yeah. And boy, I got a funny story from that night. I guess my mom, she embarrassed me to death. She didn't understand. I didn't either. That the group has a hotel, and then somebody with the group, drives the bus to the venue.
Yeah.
Well, the Kingsman bus pulls up to the elementary school there, and Parker's under the wheel.
Okay.
And opens the door, and my mom's standing there. She's, "Well, are you the bus driver?" And it made him so mad.
Oh.
I could tell it just came all over him.
Yeah, he probably thought, well, she ought to recognize me. I'm not a bus
exactly, driver, exactly. But that's how I met the Kingsmen, man. Wow. And we had a great night, and one thing led to another. We opened up for them and for y'all several times after that. And then you end up coming back.
Yeah.
And got to know you a little bit. I don't remember exactly when we first met, but then through social media too, staying in touch and all that. And man, I was sweating it out trying to climb the corporate ladder and working at the bank.
Yeah.
And you gave me a call, if I remember right. You said a lady in West Virginia that you had promised to sing at her funeral.
Yeah. Yeah.
One time had passed away, and you needed to sing at her funeral, and asked me would I come and fill in.
Yeah, I remember that.
Man, my life was just made. Half of Gordo came to that little church. It was a little church somewhere down in South Alabama.
Yeah.
And it was Randy and Harold and Ray and me. And man, I knew every song we did. I mean, every part, because like I said, I was just a Kingsman junkie.
Yeah.
And it felt that night like I had been in the group for years, at least to me. Yeah. And Ray and everybody was so nice. I mean, they just treated me like one of them. And like I said, that was my first taste of singing.
Right.
If it was just filling in with a big group. And man,
Bob, let me ask you this, Bob. I guess shortly after that, that's when Bryan stepped away. Let's just say, how did you get the opportunity to audition? That kind of opened the door for that. They had you in mind.
Let's see. I got an opportunity to audition when Phil left.
Yes. Okay. That's right. Yeah.
So would that have been before that, wouldn't it, Bryan?
Yeah, that would have been before that. Yeah.
Okay.
It would have been Bryan and Phil instead of, that's right, and Harold.
And that audition may have very well been the first time you and I actually met. I don't know.
Might have been. It might have been.
I don't know. Phil left with Capstone Quartet. We had an annual anniversary sing every year, and one of the last ones we did was with the Inspirations. That been the old group Inspirations. Martin was still there and running it and all. And somebody recorded me singing an old song called "For God So Loved." Not the Bryan Free, the "For God So Loved, Tell Me Why."
Yeah.
The one that the Florida Boys did with and Josh Garner.
Okay.
And Phil didn't know me from Adam, but he ran across that video on Facebook and played it on the bus for Ray. I mean, that's just a God thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Ray thought enough of it to ask me to come and audition. And I really think by the time I actually got to come that they kind of already knew Randy was coming, because I watched Ray's podcast. And he talked about the prophets.
Yeah.
They gave him $5 in gas. That's $5 more than Ray gave me. I'll tell you that.
Well, he
worked all day.
He probably gave you all the CDs. When we would have guys audition, he'd say, "A cousin, go out there and get all their CDs and make sure you get all their CDs." Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you did.
Oh.
I worked all day. I worked till 5 o'clock and drove to Aiken, South Carolina to meet y'all the next morning.
And that's a right for a piece. Now that ain't across.
Yeah.
I got there. I got to my the hotel that I had bought.
Yeah.
At 3 in the morning and could not go to sleep. I didn't sleep a wink until I met y'all that morning.
Yeah.
Like 11 o'clock or something like that.
Wow.
And all I remember from that is Harold Reed. I thought his voice, he had such a loud, I didn't realize how loud Harold was.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was going to bust the windows out of the bus. But I thought it went well. And, but then that scoundrel, Randy Crawford, pops back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they brought him in.
I remember you came in and filled in for me when I went to that funeral. And and I think it might have been maybe a year or so later, maybe a year and a half or whatever. Randy Crawford had to have some surgery. And so, I told Ray, I said, well, what do you think about asking Bob Sellers if he can fill in? And he said, yeah. And I said, Ray, I remember this. We were sitting, Ray and I were in the back line of the bus, and I said, Ray, and by this time I had given my resignation. I was leaving. And I said, if it were me, whoever you have fill in for Crawford, let that be the guy you're considering for my position. And I said, that way, I said, we knew he was going to be out for 2 or 3 weeks. And I said, that would give you ample opportunity to, whoever you decide to get to fill in for him, let that be the guy you're considering. And he reached out to you and got you, and you and I got to sing together. It was about 2 weekends, I think we sang together. You and I did while Crawford was, recuperating.
Yeah, I filled in a few weeks, and when Ray finally offered me the job, I was relieved because I was pretty sure I was about to get fired at the bank.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
You don't take time off during the holidays at a bank, and it was like November, right around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was right before Christmas too. Yeah,
that was so funny how all that worked out. Ray calls me and says, "Cousin, do you have a passport?" Well, no, I don't. What in the world would I need a passport for? Well, we've got a Canada trip coming up, and I'm coming home, and I'm telling my wife, Ray never bothered to tell me you were leaving.
Okay.
For at least 2 weeks,
wow,
maybe 3, while we were talking.
Yeah,
and I didn't have a clue that you were leaving until he just let the cat out of the bag. He just said it in conversation one day on the phone. I was like, "Excuse me, did you say Bryan was leaving?" Well, yeah, he is, and so I was auditioning and didn't have a clue that I was auditioning. I thought,
So you were auditioning, but you didn't know you were auditioning.
Right.
Now that's a pretty cool story. Most people, most of the Kingsmen alumni we've talked to, they knew they were auditioning. You didn't know.
Yeah. I wonder if I'm the only one that never actually showed up for an audition when I got the job. I did.
Right.
They didn't hire me, but
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Oh man.
Well,
that's neat.
I wrote down some stats during for your time at the Kingsmen. Of course, you were lead vocalist from the end of 2011 to 2018. 2012, y'all did an album called Once Again. And then in 2013, you did Front Row Live. Okay. And then 2014, Battle Cry. 2016, Classic Live Performances. Okay. And then in 2017, an album called They Don't Know. Okay. You had a #1 song with Oh Yes I Am. That was #1. You had a #1 with Battle Cry. And you had, it looks like 5 top 10 songs: Cross of Grace, I Know, They Don't Know, Hear the Word of the Lord, and Cost of the Cross were all top 10 songs.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool, man. You had 2 #1s under your belt and 5 top 10 songs. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah, we had a little run there, especially with that Battle Cry album. That was really a real blessing. I forget how many of those we sold that year at NQC, but it was unreal. I mean, they were flying off the table.
Wow.
And I've had a lot of people just mention that album and mention that lineup and all, and those were good. Those were good days for the Kingsmen and good days really for all of us.
Yeah.
Very blessed, very honored to have been part of those. I wish we'd have recorded more, to be honest with you. One reason we didn't is I think maybe 2 was kind of the standard for releases off of an album.
Yeah.
But I forget how many we released off of Battle Cry. It was probably 4 or 5.
Wow. Okay.
I remember that weekend that Battle Cry, y'all had it first out with you. We seen y'all that Sunday night. I'm trying to remember the little town we seen y'all at, but I bought that CD from y'all that night and just loved it ever since then. I can't remember the name of the town now, but somewhere down here in South Georgia. But yeah, that was neat. Good album. Very good.
The funny thing about that album, it was recorded with a steamroller, Bryan, running out the parking lot all day.
A steamroller.
Jeff had been trying to get them to come and redo the Horizon parking lot for I don't know how long, and they showed up the day we were recording vocals for Battle Cry. So we were recording between
Oh my!
but none of it made it on the album.
That's a good story you can't make up. You
Yeah.
can't make that up. We had to between songs. We had to wait for the backup for the beep, beep, from the steamroller.
Yeah, I can just remember Jeff of all days for him to finally show up.
That's a good story though. I'll give you that. That's a good story.
Yeah.
That's right. Bob, if you don't mind, speak about the two songs that you were mainly featured on in your tenure there, Cross of Grace and Cost of the Cross. I know there's a little behind-the-scenes stories with Cost of the Cross, but talk about both of them songs if you don't mind, please, sir.
Well, I loved them both. If it were up to me, I would record and do every concert. Everything I sung would be a big ballad.
Mhm.
I just love ballads because there's so much more meat to those. But I realize you have to throw in some mid, clappy songs now and then to keep people's attention on whether on a recording or live. But man, those are just the types of songs that I tend to gravitate to. And yeah, Cross of Grace, that was Becky, wasn't it? Rebecca
I believe
Peck?
so. Yeah.
And that was a good song. That always had a hard time remembering the lyrics to that song for some reason. Every time we sing it, sometimes I just make them up. But
Okay. Yeah.
as long as they rhyme, nobody call it. Or I'd sing the second verse first and first one second.
Yeah.
But
watermelon, man. Just let it go. Watermelon.
Yeah.
That's a great song. But Cost of the Cross, of course, that song has so much meaning because Miss Carolyn actually passed away while we were in the middle of recording that album. And Christy Fitzwater was kind of nobody ever really heard of her when we cut that song. And she emailed me the song, and I loved it. I fell in love. The problem was we had everything for the album sorted out.
Yeah.
I think we might have even had rough tracks and that sort of thing. But I told her, oh my gosh, I love this song. I want us to cut it, but we've already got the 10 songs.
Yeah.
And, we normally cut about once every 2 years. Would you mind possibly holding it that long?
Yeah.
And she said she would, but to aspiring songwriters out there, you can take
That's hard to do. Yeah.
You can take Christy's advice and what she did to heart. She showed up. She and her mom drove from Virginia, I think is where they lived, to see us one night in Pennsylvania. I think it was about 3 or 4 hours away from her.
Wow.
And it was right after we had been emailing back and forth, and she put a copy of that demo on CD in Ray Dean Reese's hand.
Oh, okay.
And as you know, Ray's never gotten a demo that he doesn't listen to.
Yeah, he listens to all of them.
And doesn't save.
Right.
Of course, he saves everything.
Yeah.
And he carried that demo home with him and played it in his office that Monday. And his secretary, Wendy, fell in love with the song. And then Miss Carolyn fell in love with the song. And Ray Dean Reese is Ray Dean Reese. Next thing you know, we're putting 11 songs on that album instead of 10.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
And I'm glad we did. And I know Miss Christie's glad we did. I think she got her first writing contract after that.
Wow.
With Horizon there.
That's awesome. Now, when you were there, were you did you help choose material?
I did. We kind of did it kind of a group effort.
Yeah.
We would we would all solicit demos and take our favorites and then send them to everybody else.
Okay.
And so we'd have 20, 30, 40, I don't know, trying to figure out, narrow down 10 and do it that way.
Yeah.
Of course, with, Jeff and Horizon and them having the final say, you have to have, you need so many cuts on there from their writers.
Right.
That's just part of it. And, but we cut several of those, probably 40% off of Battle Cry and They Don't Know was they didn't have the publishing on, and there were some good songs in that 40%. Funny thing about Battle Cry, not the album but the song, I was about the only one that liked that song.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the demo we got was totally different than how it turned out.
Okay.
And another funny thing about that album, the first number one, "Oh Yes I Am,"
Mm-hmm.
Randy Crawford could not stand the song.
Really?
It had that extra measure in the chorus or something. And he could not stand that. He thought it was just ridiculous. And I believe it was either Chris or Mickey. I believe it was Chris White. Basically looked at Randy in the studio and said, "Well, that's the number one song."
And it ended up being number one.
Yeah.
Randy said, "Okay, we'll see." And sure enough, it was. Lesson learned, moral of the story. Listen to the record people.
Yeah, because that goes back to listening to every single demo, because man, you might find a diamond in the rough from a obscure writer that's never written anything before, and you come across and you got to listen to every one. And normally being a singer, Bob, you can tell usually by the first verse and chorus if it's going to be worth listening to. When I was helping choose material, there were so many demos in Ray's office that I would get out the lyric sheet. I would look at the lyrics before I ever popped it in, because it was, "Happy when I get to heaven, the streets of gold," and if it was just the lyrics you see on every gospel song, it's got to be unique. It has to be a different take of the story of redemption, or the story of Jesus, or the story of the cross. It has to be something different that you've never heard before, or just a different way of saying it. Then you say, "You know what? Hey, I'm going to pop this in. These lyrics look pretty good." And on the flip side of that, you mentioned Diane Wilkinson a minute ago. She recently passed a couple of years ago, one of the greatest writers ever. Well, she would give Terry Franklin, who spent many years with the Gaither Vocal Band, an incredible singer. He's one of those guys that can literally sing all four parts. You know how most singers that come up, they'll say, "Oh man, I can sing JD's notes and I can sing Johnny Perrick's notes." Well, really, when they usually say I can sing all four parts, normally they can't sing one part, let alone four.
Yeah.
But she got Terry Franklin to record all of her demos.
Yeah.
So we would listen. I'd be listening to these songs. I'm thinking, man, this is a killer song. Then I think, wait a minute, is it a good song, or is it because Terry Franklin sang it so good? Then
that's a very good
get
point.
The lyrics out and say, "You know what, this is an okay song, and we're going to pass on this." But I was thinking it was so good because he was such an incredible singer, so the demo sounded great. And you think, wait a minute, is it because it's a good song, or is it because he sang it so good?
Man, you could do a whole podcast on that. Really.
Oh yeah, man.
I mean, I love the rough demos.
Yes.
For that exact reason.
Yes.
And one that pops in my mind is "Come and Dine." Not the old one, but the new one that was on Battle Cry.
Yeah.
We got that as a rough. It was just a rough. It was just her rough copy from Diane.
Yeah.
That she was going to send to Terry.
Okay.
And I've still got a copy of that somewhere. I wouldn't take anything for it, but it's hilarious. Listen to her sing it and play it.
Oh yeah.
And then if it gets too high, she's like, you know Diane. "Oh, darling, I can't sing that part. You know exactly what I'm wanting." And all that's on there,
Wow.
And then I want a big old quartet ending, and all that's on there. And it was just as rough as could be. And exactly what you're talking about, Brian. I would rather hear a song for the first time like that than some big production or Terry Franklin singing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was always blown away by his talent, and like I said, she would have him sing all the parts. And Ray normally, if it didn't have a bass singer on the demo, he normally wouldn't listen to it. So I remember countless songs. He would pop in the cassette or pop in the CD, And if it was just a solo singer, he'd forward to the next song, because he wanted to hear a bass singer sing the demo. So I reached out to songwriters and said, if you're going to send something to the Kingsmen, make sure you have a bass singer singing on it. That way he can wrap his mind around how it's going to sound.
Yeah. Ray was, it was always funny to me. Ray struggled a little bit hearing the bass part.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he always had, or if it was maybe in his later tenure. I don't know. But as you know, Jeff Collins would often make him a copy of just of the songs with the bass. Jeff would sing the bass, and it would be louder than everything else.
Yeah.
And Ray would listen to that over and over and over and get his part down pat. But what blew my mind, especially knowing that, especially when I first started, Ray would still every now and then he'd do something to let everybody know who's still in charge.
Oh yeah.
Like he'd fuss at us about something on stage, or we don't need any dead time. We need to hit the button, or being professional and all that. And we'd be working on stuff, learning songs and that sort of thing. And the craziest thing for me, when I first started, I wasn't singing Randy's part or your part.
Right.
Because if you'll remember, after those first couple of weeks, you left.
Right.
So that left me and a fill-in.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I had learned the songs, but depending on who was with us, I was singing a different part every week.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Because I was singing whatever they weren't singing.
Okay, so you basically say, okay, you sing what part and I'll sing around you.
Yeah, they heard them. They heard them and learned them one way.
Oh,
and they might have. You know how we were the lead and the baritone.
Yeah.
Flipping and swapping and that.
Right.
And they might not flip and swap, and I just had to strain to hear that and recognize it. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. I never thought about that, but yeah. If you have a guy come in and he's learned it a certain way, you're gonna have to sing around to make it easier on him.
It wore me out. It was such a relief when Randy finally came back.
Wow. Now let me ask you: was you emceeing during that time? Was Ray emceeing that during those couple of weeks?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I was, because I did with Capstone.
Yeah.
So I was.
Good deal.
Wow.
Yes. Well, y'all, I tell you what, this has been some good stories, and Bob, he's got a lot more to tell us. If you don't mind, Bob, will you come back next week and we'll do a part 2 to this and share some more great stories? Of course, we got to hear some more Ray stories, and I'll hear some more stories about songs and stuff like that. But Bryan, I tell you what, it's been another great episode of Behind the Crown Podcast.
Yeah, it has been a good one.
Yes, sir.
We get to tell stories. This could go a long, long time.
We might do a whole season with Bob Selton.
Yeah. A bunch of Rayisms.
As Ray always said, we can't tell the best ones.
That's exactly right.
Oh, mercy goodness. Well, everybody, y'all be sure to tune in next week for part 2 with Bob Sellers. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Be looking for part 2 next week and come back and listen in. Thank y'all.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Behind the Crown Podcast with your hosts, Bryan Hutson and Josh Griffin. If you would, please like, rate, and share this episode. Join us again for another episode of the Behind the Crown Podcast.